Welcome to our channel Crime Loom, the place where true crime stories come alive. Imagine a man walking into one of the busiest airports in North America, showing a single piece of paper, and walking out with millions of dollars in gold. No gun, no mask, no chase. Just one forged document and a bold plan. In April 2023, that is exactly what happened at Toronto Pearson Airport. A shipment of gold so heavy it needed multiple workers to move it simply vanished right out of a secure cargo warehouse. For hours, no one even knew it was gone. And by the time they realized the truth, the thieves were already long gone. This story is not just a robbery. It's a mystery that shocked Canada, confused investigators, exposed a massive security flaw that nobody saw coming. This is the Toronto Pearson gold heist. In April of 2023, Canada woke up to one of the most surprising and unbelievable crimes in its history. At Toronto Pearson International Airport, a group of people carried out a gold heist so bold and so unusual that it stunned the entire world. What made it even more shocking was that the criminals did not use weapons, or masks, or threats. They used something far more unexpected. One truck, one forged piece of paper. And knowledge of how the airport system worked, the story begins on April 17, 2023. On that day, a flight landed at Toronto Pearson after traveling from Switzerland. On board was a very special and extremely valuable shipment. Inside a container were 6,600 gold bars. Altogether, the gold weighed around 400 kilograms. At the time, this much gold was worth roughly 20 million Canadian dollars. Along with the gold, the shipment also included a large amount of foreign cash. The cargo was under the responsibility of Brinks, a well-known security and transportation company. Once the plane landed, airport staff unloaded the containers and moved them into the Air Canada cargo facility. Everything looked normal. The gold was placed in a secure area, waiting to be picked up by Brinks. This type of shipment was not unusual for an international airport. Workers handled high-value items all the time, and the system for releasing cargo relied heavily on paperwork. As long as the person picking up the shipment showed the correct document, called an airway bill, the staff were allowed to release it. But this time, the wrong person would walk through the door. A truck pulled up outside the warehouse. There was nothing unusual about it. It looked like a regular delivery vehicle. Light, plain, simple. The driver stepped inside, walked to the service counter, and calmly handed over a document. It was an airway bill. The staff checked the numbers on the paper. The information seemed to match their records. They saw nothing suspicious. So, following normal procedure, they released the container to the driver, and just like that, the man walked out with one of the largest gold shipments ever handled by the airport. Workers loaded the container onto his truck. He got inside, started the engine, and drove away. No one stopped him. No one questioned him. No one realized that the paperwork he had given them was actually a well-made fake. Hours later, when a Brinks employee arrived to pick up the gold, the staff went to bring the container out, but it was gone. At first, they believed it had been moved. They searched the warehouse. They checked the logs. They retraced their steps. But the container was nowhere to be found. A heavy 400-kilogram shipment of gold had somehow vanished. Only then did the truth begin to unfold. Police were called immediately. Investigators arrived at the airport and started interviewing workers, checking video footage, and reviewing documents. What they discovered shocked them. The airway bill used to take the gold was not real. It was a copy of an older document originally used for a shipment of seafood. Somehow, someone had recreated it, replaced the details, used it to steal millions of dollars worth of gold. The news spread quickly across Canada and around the globe. People compared the heist to scenes from Hollywood movies. But unlike movie robberies, this one did not involve explosions, gunfire, or dramatic escapes. It was done quietly, smoothly, and confidently. The thieves behaved as if they had every right to take the gold. And because the system trusted paperwork more than physical checks, they succeeded. Police soon suspected that the heist could not have been done by outsiders alone. Someone had to know when the gold was arriving, where it would be stored, and how the warehouse procedures worked. The timing was too perfect, the paperwork too accurate, and the plan too clean. Everything pointed to an inside job. For months, investigators searched for clues. They examined surveillance footage frame by frame. They checked phone records and financial transactions. They interviewed dozens of employees. They even traced the original airway bill that had been copied. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. The crime was likely organized by a group, not a single person. And the group probably included people who had worked at the airport before or who had access to inside information then. Several months later, a major breakthrough occurred. In September 2023, a man named Durante King McLean was pulled over by police in the United States. He had been speeding on a highway in Pennsylvania. When officers inspected his vehicle, they found 65 illegal firearms hidden inside. This discovery led investigators to believe that the man might have been involved in the gold heist. Some of the money used to buy the guns was believed to have come from the stolen gold. This arrest led to even more clues. Over time, police connected additional individuals to the crime. They looked into their backgrounds, their jobs, their relationships, and their financial activities. Eventually, the evidence pointed toward several former Air Canada employees. These individuals were suspected of helping plan the heist or providing the knowledge needed to carry it out. On April 17, 2024, exactly 1 year after the heist, police held a major press conference. Cameras filled the room. Reporters gathered to hear the announcement. Investigators revealed that they had arrested 6 people and were searching for 3 more. They showed photos of the suspects, the suspected getaway truck, and the forged airway bill. The arrests made headlines across Canada and around the world. Police also explained how the gold may have disappeared. According to their investigation, the thieves likely melted down the gold bars soon after the robbery. By melting the gold, they removed the serial numbers and made the metal impossible to trace. Once melted, the gold could be turned into jewelry or sold in smaller pieces on the black market. This meant that most of the stolen gold might never be found again. Only a small amount of gold jewelry had been recovered, and some of the stolen foreign cash was found during searches, but the majority of the treasure worth, millions, had vanished almost without a trace. The arrests did not solve everything. Some suspects were still missing. Some questions remained unanswered. Who exactly planned the heist? How long had they prepared? How many people were involved? And how much money did they make from selling the melted gold? Even with the arrests, investigators admitted that large parts of the story were still unknown. Meanwhile, another battle was happening, not in the streets or the warehouses, but in the courtroom. Brinks, the security company responsible for the shipment, filed a lawsuit against Air Canada. Brinks argued that Air Canada failed to protect the cargo properly. Air Canada argued that it followed normal procedures and that the criminals took advantage of a rare, unexpected loophole. The legal fight over who should pay for the lost gold continued. Adding another layer to the story, the heist also caused airports around the world to rethink their security procedures. Many companies realized that the weakest point in the system was not the physical security, was the process of verifying documents. If a single forged paper could trick trained employees into releasing millions of dollars in cargo, then the system needed major improvements. Experts began calling for digital verification methods, stronger identification checks, and stricter internal controls. Even today, the Toronto Pearson gold heist remains one of the most fascinating crimes in recent Canadian history. It has everything: mystery, planning, teamwork, betrayal, and a huge amount of missing gold. The robbers did not need force. They did not need weapons. They used confidence, timing, and knowledge. It is a story that shows how even the most secure places in the world can be vulnerable. A simple piece of paper, a bit of inside information, and the willingness to take a risk were enough to pull off a multi-million-dollar crime. And although police made arrests, the truth is that a large portion of the gold will likely never be seen again. The case continues to be discussed by investigators, lawyers, security experts, and the public. It reminds everyone that sometimes the biggest crimes happen quietly, without anyone noticing, until it is far too late. And so, the mystery of the Toronto Pearson gold heist lives on. partly solved, partly unknown, and forever remarkable. Today, the Toronto Pearson gold heist remains one of the boldest crimes in Canadian history. Most of the gold is still missing, some suspects are still out there, and many questions may never be answered. The thieves didn't just steal millions. They stole certainty. They exposed hidden weaknesses. And they left behind a mystery that still fascinates the world as investigators continue their search and courts sort through the fallout. The story lives on proof that even in a world full of technology and security, one smart plan can change everything. If the truth ever comes out, it could rewrite everything we think we know about this heist. Until then, the case stays open, and the gold stays gone. For watching more amazing videos like this, subscribe our channel Crime Loom.